Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning, everyone. Okay, let's share my slide. My name is Isyrah Fahmi Osman. I'm the head of research and development from ITPSS. So before I begin my presentation, I would like to share a little bit story about myself. So since my early years in secondary school, I have always been fascinated about artificial intelligence. I still remember back then I used to build small robots that can follow line, and we used to participate in school competition, robotics competition, and that is where it sparks my interest in artificial intelligence. Okay, since then, I've involved in a number of projects, a lot of projects related to artificial intelligence, be it for school projects or side projects. Now, alhamdulillah, I'm blessed and I have the opportunity to bring my passion in my career, because in artificial intelligence is one of the main research area in our department. So in today's presentation, I will talk about one of the application of AI, one that is usually called the dark side of AI. So enter deepfake, sorry. So before I continue, can I have a show of hand if anyone in this hall never heard about deepfake? Raise your hand, right? We have some people, that's good, that's good. Okay, so don't worry. Majority of you already know something about deepfake. But in this presentation, I will cover the basics of deepfake, what deepfake is, and I'll go through some of the examples of deepfake, where you will see what are the capabilities of this technology, and what are the threats, and also the good use of what you can do with it. And by the end of this presentation, I hope you will agree with the statement that seeing is not believing, at least in the online space. All right? Moving on. We are currently living in the era of synthetic media. What is synthetic media? Synthetic media, in the simplest form, in the simplest term, is computer-generated media. It can be in the form of images. For example, the commonly used synthetic media is in your mobile app. So when you use your camera app, often you use filter to make your face more smoother, for example. And we also have synthetic audio. This is commonly used throughout many applications. For example, in your car, you can hear someone talking, hey, wear a seatbelt, for example. And we have synthetic video, which is simply the combination of sequences of images and also synthetic audio. So what deepfake is simply a synthetic media used to replace someone else's likeness into a person. What does mean is it is a media manipulation of the original sources. So for example, you can swap your someone else's faces with your face, and as I mentioned, it's not limited to images. It can also you can also swap your voices, which is another form of synthetic media, synthetic audio. So I will go into this example more later on. So before that, let's play a game. So what you see here is a picture of two persons, and one of them is a synthetic face, which is a computer-generated face. So raise your hand if you think person on the left, A, is the real person. Okay. I see a lot of hand. What about B? All right, I see a lot of people think A is the real face. And you are actually right. Give your hands. Let's try another example. Do you think A is the real face? No? What about B? Wow, you are really good at this. All right, let's try this one. Okay. If you see on the right, it's actually my face. And on the left is actually my colleague sitting over there. So, which one do you think is the real face? Are you sure? Okay, yeah, you're right. It's actually A. Because if you look closely, or maybe you just pick because it's my face, so it's suspicious. But if you look closely, there are artifacts that you can see in the image that give away that it is not a real face. But the point that I'm trying to give is it's getting more and more difficult to tell whether the face or a media that you are presented is real or authentic or not. Okay? And with artificial intelligence, it keep on getting better and better as you have more data on to train your model. Right? So synthetic face. Synthetic face is a face that is generated using artificial intelligence. So it can be a face of a person who does not exist. So for example, in the two examples here, B and A is an example of AI-generated faces of a person who does not exist. And or a targeted face, for example, face of myself. So what I did was I trained the artificial intelligence. There is example on the right. The AI learns to draw my face. So over time, let me show. Over time, the AI will be able to draw a realistic face of myself. And once it finishes learning, drawing my face, the AI will know how to draw different postures of my face, or how my face will age, the different emotion. So using this facial feature, you can create a lot of things. So example, I have an example here. AI can generate face based on the features that you tell them to do. Okay, so what you see in the video is a trained AI and combined with AI of natural language processing, and you can generate different type of faces given the features that you want. So you see this could be useful technology, so for example, for law enforcement to come out with a sketch or or someone you want to identify based on the features that you give, right? So that is synthetic face. So when you talk about deepfake image, it is basically you are swapping the face of, you are taking the synthetic face and replace it with the, you're taking the original face and replace it with the synthetic face. So for example, anyone knows or you have used the app called Face App? Yes? No? It's actually free, you can try it, but I advise you not to use it. So there is one news last year where a 50-year-old man, a Japanese biker, used Face App to swap his face with a young female person. And he got a lot of viewers in social media, right? So that is Face App and Face Swap. So using this technology, you can also generate a deepfake video, because video is basically a sequence of image. So for every frame in the video, you can swap with someone else's face. So how much data do you need to use? Do you need to feed in the AI? Well, turns out you only need one image. But as you can see here, let me show you the example. On the left is the still image of Angelina Jolie, and you can actually animate this photo according to the input source, which is my face here. You can see if I smile, the still image will also be smiling, and if I blink, it will also blink. Well, you can already tell that it is not realistic, but think about the, for example, for facial verification. Sometimes using one photo is enough to bypass facial recognition, facial verification. For example, if the facial verification asks you to smile or blink your eyes, it can be easily bypassed. Well, there is always ways to mitigate this, but I will discuss that later on. Yeah. So this is using one sources to swap the face. So if you have a lot of faces with different poses, different facial expressions, so the AI will learn how to draw different posture, different expressions. So for example, in this video, if you see,
Earth is the cradle of humanity, but you cannot stay in the cradle forever. It is time to go forth, become a star-faring civilization, be out there among the stars, expand the scope and scale of human consciousness. I find that incredibly exciting.
what I want to focus on is there are different expressions that you can play around with when you have trained the model with different pose and different facial expressions. All right? So it will make the video more convincing, although it's not a perfect deepfake video that I've created, but taking the effort, which took me around, I believe around 6 hours to train, and it's pretty good, right? So what about synthetic voice? If seeing is not believing, how about listening or hearing? Can you believe everything you see, everything you hear? So synthetic voice is not something new. I think everyone here have tried to use text-to-speech, where you type something and a robotic voice will read the words. But nowadays, it has become, text-to-speech has become more realistic and more fluid. It can read with a realistic voice. So, for example, commonly used synthetic voice is Siri and also Alexa. But also, you can train your AI to clone a person's voice. And using this model, you can use the text-to-speech to put a word into someone else's mouth, literally. Okay? Here I have a demo. What I did was I trained an AI, a neural network, to clone my voice and say something. So let's have a look. It's quite interesting.
Hello, welcome to Cyber Battle 2022. What you are listening to is a cinematic voice of myself. This voice is generated using artificial intelligence, trained using 40 minutes of my voice sample. I find it interesting and at the same time scary that an AI can clone my voice very well, despite using a small datasets. Not only that, it can also copy my intonation and my speaking style. What else can this AI voice do? Can it sing? Let's try it. Well, you done me in your bed, I fell in. I tried to be chill, but you're so hot that I melted. I fell right through the cracks. Look, I'm trying to get back. Before the cooldown run out, I'll be giving it my best as an unbeat on the softly but divine intervention. I reckon it's again my turn to win some or learn some, but I won't have 7 days. No more, no more. It cannot wait. I'm yours.
Hey, not bad, right? So the first time I gave this audio to my wife, and she thought, "Oh, you can sing," but little that she knows, this is AI generated voice. So in the first part, it's actually basically text to speech, where it reads scripts and read the script with my voice, which I have trained. And the second part, where it sings, basically, I have taken the original singer and trained the AI to learn the pitch of the song, the pitch of every sentence, and the duration, and feed it in my model, my voice model. So that's what you are hearing just now. Very interesting. Yeah. All right, let's move on. So, what about real-time deepfake? I have shown that there are pre-recorded videos where I've swapped my face and also using my voice to swap the original singer. But what about real time? Can deepfake be used in real time? For example, in real time video conference or during meetings or even phone calls. Imagine you receive a phone call from someone you know. Yeah, that's scary, right? So it turns out right now, you can use deepfake in real time. So here is an example of the deepfake I've used. This is a recording. So this is my original face. And I swap it with someone else's face. in real time during meeting. This is example of deepfake image, because I don't have example of deepfake audio. Audio is a lot more challenging to work on. Yeah, but it is possible. It is possible. What you need is simply a very powerful computer to process this real time. Right? So next time you're in a meeting, make sure you is who you think he is. All right. So what is the technology behind deepfake? So we'll go through just briefly. We'll not go into the technical. So deepfake comes from the words deep learning, which is deep. Deep learning is a form of artificial intelligence, specifically machine learning, and it uses artificial neural network, which is a technology inspired by the biological neural network in our brain. So deep neural network uses multiple layers of this neural network. So for example, for facial recognition software, you have a lot of layers in the neural network. So each of these layers will try to learn different features from the input images. So for example, in the first layer, you will try to learn the abstract features of your face. And maybe further down the layer, it will try to learn to detect your nose or your eyes and how it looks like. Then you can feed it to another neural network for facial recognition. Okay? So in deepfake, there are two commonly used neural networks. One is autoencoders, and secondly is generative adversarial network, or GAN. Just to be clear, here is only for the deepfake image, the face swap. For audio, there are a lot of technology using it. There are a number of technology that I have not included here. So for this presentation, I'll go through one of the neural network, which is autoencoders. So in autoencoders, you will have two neural networks. One is the encoder, which maps input into code. Basically, when you have a face, the neural network will try to compress this image to tell the features, to learn the features of your face. And using this small data, using the features, it will use the decoder neural network to reconstruct back the face. And by the end of the process, you can compare the output with the input to tell how much is the similarity between the input and the output. Okay? So for example, on the left side is the input of my face. So when I train the neural network to draw my face, the encoder will try to learn how to draw my nose, my posture, everything. And from that features, it will try to draw back my face. So for example, on the right side, it's not 100% similar image, but it is an image that is drawn based on the feature that the neural network has learned. So for deepfake, basically you train using two images, right? So using the same encoder, it will extract the same location, the same type of features from the two faces. And then you use it to redraw the image using a decoder. For example, on the right side, the AI has learned to draw my face, okay? So once the AI has learned to draw a face, the two faces, you can actually swap the decoder. So when you swap the decoder, this is the first one. Once the AI know how to draw your image, your face, so you swap the decoder. So when you swap the decoder, as you can see, the face of Elon Musk, it has already learned the posture and how it smiles, and the decoder knows how to draw my face. So when you pass the features, it will try to match your input image. Okay, got it? All right. So that's basically how it works. So let's move on to, before I move to the threats of deepfake, I want to share some good use of deepfake. So for example, for creative contents, in my example, the AI know how to sing. So probably one day I might create a YouTube channel for that. Please subscribe. Okay? And for the second point is low-cost media production. Now, you can have access to Hollywood tools. For example, you can create Hollywood-grade movies from your house. You just need yourself and the tools, right? And the third one is for criminal identification. So, for example, in the example just now, you can come up with realistic faces instead of sketches based on the features given. All right? So, for the threats of deepfake, the main concern is for the phishing attack. Okay? Using deepfake, phishing attack will be more convincing. Imagine you receive a phone call from someone close to you and asking for money, right? So there are cases, for example, here, fraudsters clone company's director's voice and steal $35 million, all right? And if voice is not enough, you can use someone else's face to make it more convincing. All right? So as I've mentioned before, deepfake can also be used to bypass facial or voice verification software. And also you can use it to spread fake news. For example, deepfake of political leaders. Recently, there are a fake news circulated that there is a video of President of Ukraine saying they surrendered to Russia. Okay. Another thing is for defamation. You misuse the deepfake, the technology, to spread, to defame someone. Okay. Now, how do you prepare against deepfake attack? Honestly, it's quite difficult, especially as the AI gets better and better. It's becoming difficult to detect this kind of manipulation. So the first thing that is important is awareness. Okay? Because knowledge is important. Now you know what are the capabilities of deepfake and how it can be used against you. At least you are aware what to do. Second thing is learn to detect deepfake. Although, as I have said, it's becoming more and more difficult, but it's a good idea to train your eyes to detect this deepfake. For example, there are a few signs that can give away that something is deepfake. Number one is jerky movement, shift in lighting from one frame to the next, shift in skin tone, strange blinking or no blinking at all, and poor lip sync with the subject's speech, especially in real time. There will always be delay because you need to process to swap the face of the original source. And there are tools to detect deepfake, although, as I've mentioned, as the deepfake is getting better and better, the tool will need to be updated and to be more reliable. So one example is Deepfakeometer. You can Google it. And another thing is to pause. Think before you act. Fact-check information seen online. So check your sources, basically. And challenge the other party. If something does not feel right, it probably is. For example, if you receive a phone call from your wife asking for your password, you can challenge her back, all right? So I'm coming to the end of my presentation. So the key takeaway that I would like you to get from this presentation is, number one, understand there are different types of deepfakes, not just face swap. It can be image, it can be videos, it can be audios, or both. And second thing is, don't believe everything you see or hear online. Check your sources. And then don't spread fake or unverified news. And most importantly, share the knowledge. What you learn from today's session, you can tell your family about it. Thank you. That's the end of my presentation.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Fahmi.